As the rapid evolution of artificial intelligence necessitates the construction of massive data centers, there are growing concerns over the amount of additional energy needed to power these facilities here in the U.S. and around the world. Some have proposed large wind and solar installations using industrial-scale batteries to store energy for when the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow. However, the cost of such batteries are prohibitive. Providing even a few minutes of electrical demand would require an enormous number of huge batteries, which themselves pose significant safety concerns. These monstrosities could only appeal to those whose investment in such inefficient technology is subsidized by consumers and taxpayers. Ignored in all the hype about the latest technological fads are natural solar-powered batteries that have stored vast supplies of energy for millions of years without the need for recharging. Available to us now are coal, oil, and natural gas. All are nature's solar-powered batteries and solutions to our long-term energy needs. Scientifically unsupported environmental policies promoted by policymakers, academia, and media have impeded the full development of these fuels. Yet the fact remains that hydrocarbons will continue to be the backbone of energy production globally for the foreseeable future. That's because fossil fuels contain more energy pound for pound than any other source except for nuclear fuels like uranium and plutonium. The most efficient and environmentally friendly way to generate electricity is to use fuels that produce the most energy while consuming the fewest resources. In other words, those fuels that naturally store the most energy. Because they are so dense with energy, a small amount of oil, natural gas, or coal can produce far more electricity than wind or solar. Another way of putting it, hydrocarbons require much less materials and land to produce the same amount of power as so-called green technologies. Although some present batteries as a power source, they do not actually generate electricity. They simply store what is generated by other sources of energy. But burning fossil fuels does generate energy by releasing the power of the sun, stored millions of years ago in ancient plant life through photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a process by which plants combine sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water to produce the food required for plants to grow, and the more CO2, the better. About 375 million years ago, woody types of plants first appeared, growing into forests that removed vast amounts of carbon dioxide from the air naturally. As trees proliferated around the Earth during that ancient time, airborne carbon dioxide dropped from over 4,000 parts per million to under 400 parts per million, all due to nature capturing CO2 through photosynthesis and storing it in trees and other vegetation. As those plants died, their remains accumulated, especially in large areas that became known as coal swamps. These layers of organic matter were gradually covered by rock and sediment over the course of millions of years. Eventually, blanketed by thousands of feet of rock and dirt, the organic material was converted by immense heat and pressure to carbon-rich coal. Much of the coal we mine today, for example, was formed between 300 and 360 million years ago during the aptly named Carboniferous period. A similar process led to creation of organic-rich layers of mud that accumulated on the bottoms of our oceans and lakes and are now the source rocks for the oil and gas that fuels the world. Algal blooms use photosynthesis to bloom, die, and fall to the bottom of the seas and lakes. Deep burial and high temperature converted them first to oil and, with higher temperatures, to natural gas. Now, millions of years later, we are releasing that ancient solar-generated energy through the use of fossil fuels. Clean technologies make it possible to safely return life-giving carbon dioxide back into our atmosphere and produce the electricity needed to power our society. Fossil fuels are more powerful, reliable, and efficient than any battery storage man could devise. And with energy demand growing and a planet greening thanks to CO2 being replenished through fossil fuel use, we can continue to rely on the real solar-powered battery, fossil fuels, for a bright future. Do you want even more powerful data on topics like these? The experts at the CO2 Coalition are the go-to source for the most accurate explanation of climate and environmental-related energy issues. Go to our website now for the latest up-to-date data, facts, and research.